Good morning. So today's practice is going to be a guided, more experiential practice. So you could potentially do this while you're doing something else, or if you'd rather be like focused and present, you can just pause this video or run through it and then do this practice again later on your own when you have time. But the practice is going to be integrating a lot of the learning that we have already done, both the learning from week 1, where we're really getting curious about what else is present with judgment, like noticing what's underneath it, what is the need there, are there boundaries that need to be set, what feelings are present, do I need to bring in compassion or forgiveness? So we're really going to be integrating all the things we've been talking about and learning in this guided practice that is called like the redo. And so basically what this practice is an opportunity to take a situation that was hard, where you were stuck in judgment longer than you wanted to be, and you're going to get to redo this situation. And so what I think is important is we're not redoing it so that like the first trigger didn't happen, right? The first trigger, the first start happened, and we're getting to redo how we respond to that first start. Because of course, wouldn't that be nice if we just didn't get triggered? If I say, oh, we redo that. I mean, you could do that, but that's a different activity. It would be, and one thing I really like about this is a practice that you can do on your own as well. And you know how sometimes we'll take an experience that really we're like, that was so bad, and then we'll just ruminate about it. We'll run through it, actually like how it went, and it's almost like deepening these neural networks that are associated with the judgment and with the negative feelings, and making them even more grooved. So what's really cool about this redo is instead of doing that when you have an experience that you're like, oh gosh, instead of running through it and repeating it, run through it as you wish it would have happened. And so I'm going to guide us right now through a practice where you get to bring in a recent experience. And it could be just a small moment in time. Maybe it was like you were short with your partner or your son, or I have a son, or any kids, or it could be you were hard on yourself about something. Any moment where you were like a little stuck in judgment. So, and then I'm going to walk us through this redo practice. So go ahead and take a moment and call to mind a recent moment where you were more stuck in judgment than you wanted to be. And so I want to invite you to really vividly call to mind the situation. Really feeling into that first start. And when I say that, I mean like in the Buddhist philosophy, there's a first start, and that's the trigger. And the second dart is sometimes the way we respond to the trigger is like judging ourselves or judging the other person. So really feeling into that first start, like, oh, maybe it's like, oh, it's just like that look my partner gave me. Or when my son said, but you said we could do that. That happened to me this weekend. So take a moment really feeling into it. And right here, notice what's happening in your body. Notice any other feelings that are present. And you might notice tension or holding of the breath. You might notice if there's anger or frustration, or is it sadness or hurt, or maybe fear. And for me, often when I can start to notice the feelings that's present, it informs what is needed, right? So notice the feeling. And then really notice as you slow it down. What's neat when we do redos, we get to go at our pace. So we can be curious. We can pause. You have all the space to respond, like, what's happening for me? You could even bring in the energy of curiosity. And then notice what's needed here. So for me, when I'm experiencing anger or frustration, I often need a boundary, whether it's I need space to take some deep breaths, or I need to I have overstepped one of my own boundaries that I need to reset clearly. Or sometimes if there's tenderness or sadness, you might really just need to bring in the energy of love or compassion or forgiveness. So take some time to notice what's needed here in this, for the feelings underneath judgment. You might think about all the practices we've done, or just hold that open inquiry for your higher wisdom, your subconscious, to bring in what's needed. And then really allowing that to come in, again, whether it's the energy of love, or it's feeling oh, I'm setting a clear boundary. I'm saying, hey, you know what? I love you so much, and it's okay for me to change my mind. I know it's really hard for you. I'm giving that example. My friend said, my son said, but you said. So that's the clarity, but being really able to set the boundary in a really clear, loving, grounded way. I'm really feeling this experience of the redo in your body. Again, whether it's a boundary or it's bringing in so much tenderness, maybe it's like a hug for an inner child part, where you're just really getting to hold that tender part. So take as much time as you like here, and then as you wrap up this redo, notice what difference it makes. Notice, keep playing out the situation a little bit past this trigger, and that maybe notice you going into the rest of your interaction with this person, or the rest of your day, where you're oh yeah, I feel really grounded and embodied, or I feel more connected. So again, I want to invite you to follow through that redo till the end, feeling it in your body, really anchoring this new experience in. And what's really neat with these redos is we're really weaving in these new strategies and bringing in these pleasant experiences into your nervous system. So they're now woven in, because you did it really vividly in your imaginal world. They're woven into the triggering situation. So next time you are in a similar triggering situation, these new strategies, these tools will be more accessible for you, because they're right in there, woven in next to the trigger in your nervous system, in your memory network, if that makes sense. All right, I would love to hear any insights or comments or any stuck spots you want to share as you play with this redo. And I want to invite you to play with it throughout the day or throughout the week. Anytime you're oh gosh, that was a judgment fail. But this is an opportunity to play with the redo. All right, be well.